In this grade 12 economics video, we're looking at the September preparatory paper 1 possible essays. So we have already done the scope for paper 1. Now we are looking into the possible essays that could come up to go together with that scope for paper 1. So if you haven't seen the scope for paper 1, make sure that you look at the scope for paper 1 and then you come to the possible essays video. We are going to go through the main sections of your paper 1. But before we get into the scope, I just wanted to remind you that we also have the cheat sheets. With the cheat sheets, we have the extended version of the scope. So if you're interested in that, all you have to do is simply email me at priscilla.sanelane@gmail.com to order a copy of your cheat sheets. They are both perfect for your prelims as well as your final examination. So if you're interested in that, simply shoot me an email. Section C will require you to choose to answer only one question when it comes to your essays. So the first one can come out of the essays that are prepared for your macroeconomics, and the second one will come from economic pursuits. You only have to prepare one of the main topics, so you don't have to prepare both for macroeconomics as well as economic pursuits. You can simply choose one of those. If you choose to go with macroeconomics, here are the possible essays that you need to make sure that you are prepared for. So what we're looking at, we're going to look at all the possible topics that are within macroeconomics, and out of those topics, what are some of the common essays that can come out of that. So if they decide to test you on the topic of the circular flow, the possible essay that can come out of that is the markets in the four sector market. So if the possible essay is a circular flow, then you can expect it to be markets in a four sector market. That's all you have to worry yourself with if you're trying to prepare for an essay in the circular flow. In the business cycle, we are looking at two possible essays. We have features underpinning forecasting. So these are the indicators that we have for forecasting the business cycle. And then we also have the smoothing out of the business cycle. That is the new economic paradigm. With the new economic paradigm, you also have to keep in mind that we have a demand side as well as supply side. So it will be best for you to prepare both policies. The smoothing out of the business cycle, or rather the new economic paradigm, using the demand side policies or using the supply side policies. So those are the two essays that can come out of the business cycle: the features underpinning forecasting and the smoothing out of the business cycle. But the smoothing out of the business cycle, I guess we can just simply say it makes two. There's two possible essays that can come out of that: the demand side as well as the supply side. Then we move on to the public sector. With the public sector, the possible essays that can come out of the public sector is reasons for public sector failure. The reasons for public sector failure are a very common essay question that can come out of that. It is one that I will say, if I were to predict, this would be my prediction. It would be that the reasons for public sector failure would be the essay that is chosen for the public sector. But we also have objectives rather of the public sector. With the public sector, these are the only two essays that you will need to worry about. Sometimes they might put the spin on the reasons for public sector and say the demand reasons for public sector. So if you have time, consider adding that to your notes. And then lastly, we have reasons for international trade. This is the international trade topic, and also it has a side where they can ask for demand or supply reasons. If you choose to go with the main topic of economic pursuits, you know that the first topic under there we have protectionism and free trade, and the one possible essay that can come out of that topic that is more than likely, other than most, is the arguments for or the arguments against protectionism. So that is the essay that I would prepare myself for. The only thing with this one is that sometimes it is phrased different, so I would pay attention to that in the exam room. They may say measures to support protectionism instead of saying arguments for protectionism, if that makes sense. So the measures in support of is the same thing as the arguments for protectionism. So that is the essay that could come out of that. It is just phrased different, but it is the same thing. So arguments for can be an essay on its own, and the arguments against can also be an essay on its own. This is, by the way, the main topics when we're talking about the main section of your essay. And then when it comes to the topic of economic growth, we have the discussing economic growth from the demand side approach, or discussing economic growth from the supply side approach. So both of those can make their own standalone essay topics. And under the topic of economic growth, we also have export promotion as well as import substitution. Now, the main section of your essay can either just be export promotion, or the export promotion can come out as an additional part. Maybe the main part was the demand side approach to economic growth, and for the additional 10 marks they will want you to discuss the export promotion. So it can work both ways. I've seen it work both ways, where the export promotion becomes the main part itself, or it can become the additional part. The same thing applies with the import substitution. It can be the main part itself, or it can also work well as the additional part. So when you are preparing that, you have to keep in mind that you are actually preparing for both. The next one is when we get to industrial development, we are looking specifically at the essay initiative in regional development. So this essay, sometimes it is phrased as South African growth policies and strategic initiatives. Sometimes they will say South African endeavors. So just beware lest it throws you in the exam room. And then the last possible essay we have under this main topic is the social and economic indicators. The social indicators can make an essay on their own. The economic indicators can also make an essay on their own. So when you practice, you should practice them as individual essays.
Have YouTube recommend you more of my videos, be sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below.